Hey everyone, it's Kenlyn, and welcome back to my channel for the Astro and Energy Report for the week of January 26. Well, it's a big week because we have a new moon, and this is not just any old new moon happening on Wednesday, January 29th at, 4:37 a.m. Pacific time. This new moon in Aquarius is the new moon that initiates an entirely new cycle. For all intents and purposes, this is the new year. I know we say that at the equinox with the Aries movement into Aries at 0 degrees, and that astrologically is the new year. But energetically, for the Aquarian age, the new cycle that will last us the next 19 years, of which no one alive has been in this cycle before. The last time that the sun and Pluto met in Aquarius was, I wrote it down, 1798. So no one alive has been through this transit before. And indeed, no one has been through what we are going to be through as a human species. So this is a game changer cycle change. And as my teacher, Michael Lennox, likes to say, nothing happens unless you have a new moon. And so for you personally, look at where Aquarius is in your chart. You should already know this because we've been talking about it. And especially last week's video, I dove deeply into the themes of Aquarius and also Jupiter in your chart. So if you haven't checked that out, check out last week's. So by now, you know which house in whole sign astrology Aquarius occupies. And this is the place where death and rebirth are happening. And it's being initiated this week with the new moon. So with the new moon, we have our intentions because the sun and the moon are on the same side, in the same sign, and it's a dark moon. It's the fertile ground for which our intentions in that area of your chart are seated. I just looked at my moon and you. I consult my own guide, my intention setting guide, and I would grab it if I were you because we're going to change some things and you won't get it like this ever again. So download the moon and you. It's a 28-page attention setting guide, and it's the first new moon of 2025. And it's happening on January 29th, which coincides with the Asian New Year, the Lunar New Year. The New Year in that tradition, in the Asian tradition, always starts with a new moon. And so we're moving from the dragon into the energy of the snake. And someone had said this last 25, 26 days, we could feel the tail of the dragon smack us. I don't know about you, but it has been a lot of smacking on a personal level. And then we've had these collective earthquakes, fires, floods, all kinds of things that are wreaking havoc and just true, deep loss that people are experiencing. And that's part of what's happening right now. And I'm going to presence that because loss is always on the menu when we're talking about moving into a new cycle. And new change and something new beginning sounds really great, but it also comes with a price, and the price is the old. And sometimes we never count on, I didn't think it meant that. I didn't think it meant that relationship or that house or that place I was living. And a lot of people are dying. I don't know how many people have called me this week with their dogs crossing over. So just lots and lots of individuals saying goodbye to this cycle. Their term is done and complete. And here we are to take it into New Earth. It's this team New Earth. Now, that's not a good or bad judgment. We're just the embodied team New Earth. Okay. So let's presence a few things. We've got a trine to Jupiter. So Jupiter's still retrograde, but on the 4th of February, we'll turn direct. And so we'll get some power back from this Lord of Abundance to amplify this new moon intention that you're creating for yourself in the house of Aquarius in your chart and collectively, because Aquarius is a collective energy. We're talking about the whole. We're talking about we the people. We're talking about a revolutionary, evolutionary energy. And so whatever has been dying in your world, we get to align with that and let it go. There are just surprising things to me. You know, the Uranus is in this mix as well. And so Uranus is also stationing direct. I'm glad I remembered that the day after this new moon. So we have Uranian energy. We've had Uranian energy very prominent in this change-making time. So I'm going to declare that as this new moon occurs, we are officially, truly in the Aquarian age. And I know we thought that like in 2012, we were in the Aquarian age, but all of it is a cycle. It takes time. And as life is seen as less linear and more spherical, like that we're beginning and ending, beginning and ending, beginning and ending. Just think of the zodiac wheel where Pisces and Aries are. There's an ending, but then there's a beginning. It's never finished. The circle keeps going. And so we've had many turns at the wheel of the losses and the letting go and the reinvention. And you think about since 2020, 5 years now of who you were back then. You're not even close to that anymore. But think about all the massive change that had to happen to get you here, to literally shatter your old belief systems. And we've just started. We've just started. There are so many new perspectives that want to come in, but we got to blow up the old. And now we're moving into the year of the snake and this year of the skin shedding, the year of the divine feminine. Let's just put that there. And like Pam Gregory, the astrologer I love so much, who's been holding down the frequency for this very thing for decades, always presences Chariklo whenever she can. In the mythical story, Chariklo was the wife of Chiron, and she was the only one able to heal Chiron. You remember the story of Chiron, the wounded healer, could heal everyone else, could support everyone else. And maybe you're that kind of healer where you've got the answer for other people and your own wounds are still present and available to you. And that's okay. That's part of the archetype of the wounded healer. And then here comes in Chariklo, the divine feminine, and she's been holding space, literally in the geometry since 2020. She was there in these big conjunctions, and she's here now in a wide conjunction. I meant oppositions, but she's here in a wide conjunction to this sun and this moon. And she is the yin feminine. So there's not just one kind of feminine, but she's the yin side. So the silent, the space holder. She's got that Bhuvaneshwari energy that holds the cosmic mother, that holds it all. She doesn't need to say anything because things happen by her frequency. And so remember, as we get into this and you start to feel liberated, because that's what's coming, is these are shackles. Beliefs are shackles. We have been hijacked in our mind to think certain ways and reinforced by the economic system, by the school system, by the healthcare system. And as you can already see, all of that is breaking down. Now, we always have choice. We can still get hijacked, and many people are. And it's too new and uncertain to make declarations about. Somebody just posted the other day, oh, Trump's executive order did this, and that's really awesome and amazing. Like, I'm going to reserve judgment. I don't really know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Tariffing every other country on goods coming into America, I don't really know if that's a good idea, but we're certainly going to bear the brunt of that. And we're going to know through experience if that's a good idea. And that's way better than mental projections about good or bad. So remember, we signed up for this. We really did. We signed up for this change of an age. And just like a rocket lifting off and going into space, you know what, by the time that rocket's in space, it's like it has this appearance of just gliding through, like floating through air or going so fast that just nothing touches it. But when it's leaving the stratosphere, it is bumpy and shaky, and like all the skin on your face goes to the back of your head, right? Like a roller coaster. It feels terrible, like you're going to crash. And everything, life as you know it, just comes right before your very eyes. And you think, what the F am I doing? This is all blowing up. That's how I feel every time I do a plant medicine journey. You know, like, why did I do this? Because it's blowing up constructs, and it's getting me in touch with a deeper truth, with who and what I really am. And so this energy that is initiating us into the Aquarian age is disruptor energy, but it's also about the truth. And also many truths, let's just say, and respecting many truths, because Aquarian energy is not groupthink. It hates that stuff. It's outlier think. It's innovation think. So I know that in this country, I have friends on both sides of the political spectrum, and some people are very upset about things around immigrants and trans people. And I share that anytime a human right is violated, it's upsetting. And I also know that diversity is going to win the game. Anything that's anti-diverse will not stand. The tide is going into more diversity and not less. So we might have to go through a crucible to get there, because it's like saying, well, how much do you really value this? And it's going to turn out that we don't know how much we value something until it's taken away. And then we have to fight for it. So a lot of different scenarios could emerge. We have energy moving into Aries, right? Like Neptune and Saturn will move into Aries, and that's could be civil war energy. I think there's other timelines that are possible for us. And the good news around this whole thing is that we've got the North Node in Pisces, which to me is this movement toward oneness, mysticism, God, spirituality. But I just want to share that if you're afraid, then that's a call to action to come into the who and what you really are. Stop identifying with the ego mind identity that is this separate creation that our subconscious projects as real, that is in a low shadow frequency. And you can always tell if you're there by shadow thinking, by self-sabotaging thoughts. And usually they're projected at yourself or outward back at you, right? So giving yourself more love, not less, more. We talked about this in The World is Your Oyster. We talked about how that ego mind identity, the strength of it is fortified by the amount of love you're withholding from yourself. So constantly forgive yourself. Say words of love to yourself. When you hear yourself judging yourself or someone else, see that someone else as a fractal of you, and forgive you out there, forgive you over here. That's really what's available to us in Pisces right now, as the North Node just started that journey at that late 20, like 8 or so degrees, because it's going retrograde. That's how the North Nodes work. So it's going to go from the high degrees of Pisces, which means that that's the death portal, the ending, the completion. And it's going to move all the way to 1 degree over the next year and a half, and then ultimately move into Aquarius, which will be the next North Node in 2026. Interesting, right? We've got tons of Aquarian energy, but I think we have this incredible opportunity right now to dial in our spirituality. And that's going to mean not getting hijacked in your thinking. My mom and my sister love to text about political stuff, and I literally ignore it because I realize I can get hijacked. I could spend my life force energy and my attention on it. And does it really matter if I convince or if I share something with my mom and my sister? It does not. If I deem it does not, then I move on, because I want my attention, the only commodity that everyone is fighting for. I mean, think of the Matrix, and like if they were to hook up something, if the Matrix were to, like a big Borg, were to want to siphon energy from you, what would they siphon? What kind of energy would they siphon? Your attention. Because that's the thing that when you focus it, creates your world. You are an incredible, powerful creator. And shit's breaking down. So can we hold both? Yes, you are. And it's not your fault if your shit's breaking down. It's part of the matrix. It's part of the game that we signed up here to birth a new world, because we can't birth that world based on old principles. So every area of our lives are getting reworked, and it's not comfortable. And I know people are scared. And if you're one of them, or you don't think you're one of them, but there's some symptoms of anxiety going on, really practice self-soothing. Practice giving yourself love. One of the things I was sharing in The World is Your Oyster, because it is, not was, is a phrase that I learned from a spiritual teacher. And he said, I don't know, and I don't care. So that immediately drops you out of the thinking mind into the direct observational beingness. So experiment with that. Whenever I feel anxious, I say that, and my anxiety dissipates, because what we found in that workshop, and you can get a hold of that through my.evolvingsisters.com. You can purchase that workshop. I don't know how I'll just make that set up after I do this video. But what we found out is that once we get out of that thinking mind, what happens is we actually know what to do. It's the habit of believing the thoughts that's catching us. Okay, so you've got a little tip there for how to navigate this time of extreme change. Some of the other energies that are coming through are for this Aquarian age, our community. We also are going to have more of a sense of being a galactic being, a galactic citizen, rather than earthlings. We have technology and innovations. You know, see my 2025 video. I went into detail with affirmations for each one. We're going to be thinking more about out there, like space. As we already know, there's a lot of space travel. I think within just a very short amount of time in January, Elon Musk had launched like dozens of rockets already. So the space exploration is here. I'm an internal cosmonaut. So for us on the spiritual path, the game is in here. Out there is actually in here. And that's astrology too. So we're right on target. And we're also in this frequency of ancient future remembering. We've been here before and you know it. That's why you're here. You got a sign. But here's the thing. It's like you were given a potion and you forgot. And now you're waking up from the forgetting and you're remembering. So they say in the Buddhist tradition, or in some Buddhist traditions, that this is the fourth wheel and it's humanity's fourth time at this very precipice. And all the other times we've messed it up. And how did we mess it up? We went into war. We went into fighting. And this time we're going to go into breaking through, because we're going to break through here, our attention. We're not going to feed the beast anymore. So if you're feeding the beast, you can stop right now and realize how addicted you are to feeding the beast, to scrolling on your phone, to reading the news. Claim back your attention. That's this new moon. Make that your new moon declaration, your commitment. And we know we have the serpent energy. So we have Chariklo in a wide conjunction. And then we're going into, as I said, we had that smack of the dragon's tail. And then with this new moon is the Lunar New Year and the year of the wood snake. And the wood snake is really the representation of earth. The wood is earth. It's spring. It's new beginnings. It's fed by the water. And there's not a whole lot of water happening. But we're going to have a lot of activity in Pisces. So let me presence a little bit of water in a second. But it's the spring. It's the new beginnings. And so I love that the skin shedder is here. I'm an 8th house sun, and I've always been called a skin shedder. So we're all skin shedders right now, shedding the old. And part of shedding the old is forgiving the old. You must forgive yourself. I know that there's people breaking up. I know that there's tremendous financial pressure. Maybe your business didn't work. Maybe you got fired. All of that is to say that you need to forgive yourself, because the truth is you just outgrew it. You just outgrew it. So this is the cycle change. Big, big changes are happening. So use this renewal energy and beginning of spring, as Yelena was saying, she just activated us in the goddess Bridget today. And that's also available for purchase inside of the Evolving Sisters network. It's my.evolvingsisters.com. Her activation, what she said is that this is the time, this nascent embryonic spring that we're getting toward Imbolc, which is that time between the winter solstice and the equinox, that midway point, celebrating the beginning of spring. It still has snow on the ground. It's not spring, like, oh, it is just the buds coming out. And that's what we get to remember. So see with different eyes. Don't see with the eyes that say, well, all I see is breakdown. All I see is loss. All I see is change. And I'm scared. Yes, I get it. But remember who you are. Remember who you are, and that you're massively supported as we move into a real springtime, a renaissance of the human spirit. That is what is on the menu. If we choose it with our attention. You can't have both. You can't be hijacked by the dominant shadow frequency and experience, a spiritual awakening, because the mind, as the Gene Keys says, will close down its aperture and not allow enough light in to its DNA to activate the cells. And so we're in an ancient future remembering. Cam Gregory was saying that there is a grand air trine, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, with the goddess Maki Maki, which is an asteroid. I don't follow asteroids, or no, actually, it's a dwarf planet. I don't follow dwarf planets. But she said it's a new Earth dwarf planet. So I want to presence that and just bring it in, because I think the snake, Chariklo, and that dwarf planet, Maki Maki, are all pointing toward the support of the feminine in the middle of this brotocracy, this like bro culture, bro marketing, bro government that we're in right now in the United States. It's like so bro. And that has to do with this Mars in Cancer being retrograde. And by the end of April, that is gone. And so that energy dissipates. So I'm just playing the long game with the divine feminine, and I'm inviting you into that as well. All right, can we talk about one more thing? And this is the stellium in Pisces. And I think it's important to presence because it's going alongside of this new moon and the opportunity that this new moon is presenting. So check out Pisces in your chart. What house is it in? Like, I have a stellium in Pisces already. I have planets and celestial bodies there. You may have nothing there, but you still have a house that's ruled by Pisces. So guess who's there? Well, Saturn. Saturn's been there, right? Some of us are in our Saturn return. Yay. That's why it's so intense. Saturn, the Lord of karma, the Lord of limits, the Lord of responsibility, like crushing in. But Saturn wants you to win. And so anything that can't go gets crushed out by Saturn. A couple other things happening in Pisces. Now, these are more positive. They're all positive in some ways, and they're all difficult in some ways, but we have Neptune and Venus. So the planets of love, both personal love and the higher octave of divine love, cosmic love, universal love, that's also in Pisces, both of those energies. So we can feel it here. And what I think Saturn does is anchor it into the 3D, because Saturn doesn't care about airy-fairy ideas. Saturn says, that's great. You think you're one with everything, and you are me and all that. How does that work when someone pisses you off? You know, that's Saturn. Saturn wants you to bring it into your reality and know it in your embodiment. Okay. So we have Saturn, we have Venus, we have Neptune, and then we have the North Node. And the North Node is taking its cue, that future destiny. They're having a conversation. The North Node, think of that area of space. That's this directional place of our future destiny, is lined up with the lower and higher octaves of love, our embodiment of love, the lower octave, and our higher love, our higher mind. I mean, and then Saturn saying, I'm going to make it real. That's huge. So put your third eye on love, on the love. Really ask for gnosis, 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 divine knowledge. Just, it comes in. You don't read it anywhere. It isn't information. It's something you experience and you know in your bones. Ask for gnosis, not about shit around politics, but about love. Love. Let me know the love that I am. Let me know the love that is. Make that your prayer, because we have a better chance than ever before of it being answered. You know, Adyashanti says awakening is spontaneous, but it's not haphazard. Meaning, Saturn says discipline, Saturn says structure, Saturn says practice. And those are the things that someday, in some Uranian impulse, we see. We are self-realized. Our third eye opens and we see the nature of reality, that all there is love. Yes. And by the way, Uranus is going direct the day after this new moon. And then February 4th, Jupiter goes direct. So boom, the planets are now, they've been, going backward, revisiting old material, just making us make sure you got it. Do you get it? Did you get it? Let's review it again. Let's review it again. And now they're going to start moving on. And Mars will make its final hit in, I think it's late April. And there we have more of a clearance. And we also have some eclipses coming up in this Pisces Virgo axis. So lots happening, lots can get initiated, and it's turbulent. It's uncomfortable. There's a lot of upheaval. And if that's not you, then be Chariklo for others. If that is you, then know that you're held. And if you work with people and clients, hold them in that, like in that frequency, elevate them to this frequency so they can remember. And if you are a teacher or a healer or a guide, you should be inside of Goddess Convergence. That's happening next month. At the end of the month, you can be a speaker inside this summit. I'll put the details in the show notes below, and you can click on the link and hear about how you can be a speaker in my online festival called Goddess Convergence. And that's the point. Humanity needs this more than ever. And I believe that the feminine needs to really support our narrative of why we're here. Otherwise, we are feeling like the outer evidence seems like it's something else. But if we remember and we tune in to our own intuition, to our gnosis, then we remember this ancient future that we are birthing, and we as the feminine are here to birth. That's what we're doing. Oh my goddess. Okay. I felt so crappy at the beginning of my transmissions, and now I feel so great. And it's just a testament to when you talk about high frequency things, your whole cellular structure vibrates at that high frequency. So do more of that. Let's gather all the positive energy we have generated here together and beam it out, imagining this whole planet and then our Milky Way, and each being, four-legged, winged one, every being just surrounded with gold liquid light to remember the love that they are. May all beings benefit from the merits of our efforts. Thank you.